I'm just saying I'm not finished yet. Search for it, swing for it, discover the me that lives in yes. Stand for it, stretch for it. It's my time, imagine my best. Run for it, reach for it, uncover the me that lives in yes. I know, yes I know, there'll be miracles wherever I go. It's not work, it's play. I can make magic today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Senior Nation. I'm your host, Phyllis, Ayman, and you are listening to the Source TV Radio Network, WTSN, Washington, D.C. We are indeed a senior nation with 100 plus million adults over the age of 50. And we are here to bring you up-to-date information about successful aging, healthful longevity, and becoming what I call a well-ager, to dignity, respect, quality of life, and quality of care for our parents, our grandparents, and loved ones. We at Senior Nation will be your trusted voice for informed choices, meaningful conversations, and a vibrant life at every age. Though the Source TV Radio Network is known for its dedication to bringing the highest level of jazz content to the viewing and listening audience, the owners of the network are also dedicated to bringing this important content to this fast-growing demographic, and I'm always grateful to have the opportunity. And tonight, I have with me a special guest, and I can't wait to share the story of how we met. So Kevin Marino is a lifelong entrepreneur and respected leader in the network marketing profession. Over nearly 3 decades, he has built and led teams of more than 200,000 distributors and customers worldwide, reaching top earner status in multiple companies. Known for his authentic leadership and engaging style, Kevin has spoken to audiences of up to 15,000 both in the United States and internationally. Featured in Networking Times and a longtime ANMP Board Member, Kevin continues to inspire entrepreneurs while serving as Director of Business Development in the employee benefits space, helping organizations like Employee Health Partners and Revive Health, a preventative care program, and he's helping them grow and expand their impact, creating a win-win for both employers and employees. So I'm so thrilled to have Kevin here with me this evening.
How you doing?
Hey, Kev. Before we begin, I forgot to say something to the viewing and listening audience. If they look in the right upper hand corner and take a photo of the graphic and they enlarge it, my email address is on that graphic, and they can always email me if they want information or have questions or whatever it is that concerns them they want to comment about. So I really want to share the story of how we met. I think it's a great story anyway. So I've been going to the VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars, in Westport, Connecticut for January will be 2 years actually. And I think it's just a few months ago we saw each other sitting at the bar. Mm-hmm. I think it was maybe once, maybe a second time. We said a few words to each other. But the second time, I think it was, you ordered this great pizza. And I was hungry that evening, and I don't even eat pizza that much. But because I was kind of salivating over this pizza, you offered me a piece. It was delicious.
You were very subtle. You're like, boy, that pizza looks good.
Really? I mean, that was a subtle message, I'm sure, right? Like
Absolutely.
I was practically in your plate, Kevin. But anyway, then we saw each other once after that. So we kind of, that kind of was a great icebreaker. When you break bread with people, you kind of already broke the ice. And then you started telling me about this program you're working with. And because I'm sure the viewers and listeners know by now, and I kind of say it in the intro, I'm very passionate about health and wellness and healthful longevity. I became very interested in this program, Employee Health Partners and Revive Health. So now that I gave that little intro, can you tell us a little bit about the program?
Well, sure. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure. I've obviously escaped the getting chilly New England weather. I'm back down at home in Florida, so I was kind of rubbing that in a little bit earlier.
Yes, you were.
But I'll tell you, I've done a number of different things and worked with different companies over the years, and building sales teams is kind of one of my niches. And it's always interesting when we're going and we're trying to find a really good company to work with. And I happened upon EHP quite by accident. And I was actually looking for a product for a company that's owned by a friend of mine. And I came across EHP, and I started looking at it, and it really got my attention, because it's a program that doesn't affect a company's major medical plan that they have in place already. What it is a wellness benefits package that literally goes right on top, wraps around, however people like to describe it. And it's a phenomenal wellness package that is backed by a company called Revive Health, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, and has in excess of 4.5 million employees already on it across the nation. So it's pretty incredible. It gives people, it's all done pre-tax. It gives the employees the ability to get these incredible benefits it doesn't really come out of their pocket. It comes out of their pre-tax savings. And it actually additionally puts typically more take-home pay in their check. So they're getting the benefits, they're getting the take-home pay, and the company themselves, because it's all pre-tax, gets a significant, gets like $640 per employee on an annual basis. So everything, the way it all came together, it was a little mind-boggling for me when I first saw it. I had to look at it a couple times, kind of break it down, see how it worked. And then I looked at it and I said, well, I mean, for me, the test is, if I know somebody, would I bring it to them? Would I bring it to a friend who owns a business? I said, I've owned businesses in the past, and if somebody brought this to me, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Because
so that's a great, simple description of it. And what attracted me to it, as I said in the outset, is that I'm very passionate about health and wellness, and especially that I've worked in this long-term care skilled nursing space. So of course I see the effects of ill health for the people that are either living or short-term rehab patients in those environments. But right. I see the effect of, working in those environments, as well as life itself, on the people who work in those settings. And, there's so many factors that influence that. But I want to go into a little bit about, the different aspects of Revive Health that are part of this program that makes it preventative. And also explain that the reason I wanted to have you on the show was because if anybody is working for a company that they think could benefit from this, I'd love them to bring it to them, because it's only going to benefit the employee, but it will also benefit the business owner. And nowadays, when when health plan premiums are skyrocketing, when the cost of most things people have to buy are going up, any relief that people can get in their take-home pay would be terrific. And for the employer to get a reduction in their expenditures, I mean, it's a win-win on both sides.
That's for sure.
So talk a little bit about some of the areas that the preventive care program covers, because I think it's so emblematic of what we see in the ills of society and what's causing ill health.
Well, yeah, a lot of what's causing ill health right now is you see a lot of the major medical plans that companies offer to their employees, and they're trying to watch their bottom line, but try to give healthcare at the same time. And most employees these days are looking at $6,000 to $8,000 deductibles, which is quite brutal. So they put off going to the doctor as long as they can, and unfortunately, this is causing people to get sicker and sicker. And then all of a sudden when they can't stand it anymore and they can't get out of bed, or whatever's growing on their arm is really growing on their arm, they finally make an appointment. Well, when's that appointment? That appointment now is 2, 3, 4 weeks out to get to their physician. And so some people turn around and then go to emergency rooms. These all cost them out of pocket because the deductibles are so high. So one of the things that, right out of the gate with EHP and Revive is that there's a network of almost 14,000 medical professionals that are on call right here. You can get them right on your computer screen, on your phone, whatever you have to do. You can reach out to them, and the virtual wellness and teledoc and things like that became so popular once COVID hit, because people didn't want to go out and go places, that it's really taken on now a life of its own. So they can get an appointment typically within hours.
Right.
So if you have something that's not too bad, obviously if your arm's falling off or something like that, you need to get yourself to the emergency room. But if it's something that you come up with a rash, you're outside, you can get to a screen, you can show the doctor what it is, and he says, "Oh, I recognize that. I'm going to call on a prescription for you to go pick it up." The thing with the prescriptions that blew my mind with this is they own
my mind too.
Yeah,
right.
They own 3 formularies across the nation, and there's right now it's up to 1,070 prescriptions that are filled at absolutely no cost, and they'll actually, if you're on a maintenance dose of, let's say, a blood pressure medicine or something like that, and you switch it over to them, they'll send it to you from the formulary directly to your home, typically in a 3-month supply, absolutely no cost. There's 1,070 meds that are at no cost that can be sent directly to people.
That is so unbelievable.
It really is. It really is. There's, the GLP-1s and the different things like that, the Ozempic and that type of stuff. Those aren't free. But when you see some of them and they're like $70 and $90 or $120 for a 3-month supply, that's something that, again, most of these people, if they're going to the doctor to get it or they're paying buku bucks.
Oh, $900, $1,200 a month.
Yes,
it's crazy. I have described the benefits, especially the teledoc and the virtual. They're basically on demand. I mean, you could really get somebody within minutes, on a call. But just going back to what you said about getting an appointment with a doctor. So I just went to a physician recently. I needed an appointment, and I started a relationship with a new physician. And there are a couple of things that I haven't really attended to for the past few years. I mean, I just don't really go to doctors. I've worked with so many doctors that it's just something I shy away from if I can. So he set me up for an appointment that something I should have had as a woman a long time ago. And he made a referral for me. Cool. So when the appointment is? The end of January.
Right around the corner, in other words.
Right. So I'm like, if he's concerned that I might have an issue, I don't think the end of January is really timely enough. I'm just saying, I mean, it's okay for me. I'm feeling okay. But if he's thinking that maybe there's an issue that needs to be exploring, I don't think the end of January really would be within the time frame he'd be looking for. But it's just what you're saying. It's very hard to get appointments. Very, very hard.
And a lot of the stuff, think about mental health. when people are trying, they're struggling with something mentally and they're having a little difficult time and they're trying to get into somewhere, and all of a sudden they can get in a week or 2 weeks away. Well, if someone was having bad thoughts, they need somebody now. And I know that, there's different phone numbers they can call, and most of them answer and don't put you on hold. But what's very interesting with this whole program is everybody gets an app on their phone that they can track everything. They can do everything right from the app. And if they really need to speak to somebody right away, they can just go to it on the app and click it, and they can get connected with somebody immediately.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
If someone's having difficulty at work and you're stressed out because something's happening, you have somebody at your fingertips to be able to reach out and do that with.
I just want to interject, what I thought was really super is that it covers not only the person that is employed at that company, but up to 6 people in their family. I mean, that's unheard of in my
spouse
opinion.
And 5 kids.
Yeah, it's absolutely unheard of. So, that's in and of itself quite extraordinary. So besides that, I wanted to talk about some of the other areas, like, it has a program to address people's weight. It has a program to address financial issues. It has, various. So I was on a call with somebody today, and we were talking about the incidence of diabetes in the country. And in this particular case, his company doesn't cover any of these weight loss drugs. I have my own feelings about them, but that's besides the point. And so the cost of these are tremendous. So I was saying it didn't seem to have an impression upon him. But what I interjected was that the incidence of diabetes in this country, I think it's 63 million people now have diabetes, and the cost to the country is over $400 billion, something like that.
It's enormous.
Yeah, and diabetes is obviously a precursor to heart attack, to strokes, to amputations, to loss of vision. I mean, so many areas that it impacts, that from my vantage point, I mean, obviously he was looking at the financial point of it, but obviously every employer is different. But if I was an employer, and I can say there are a lot of nurses in the industry and a lot of healthcare workers that are significantly overweight, and there are so many contributing factors to that I would want my employees to have access to a program like that, because it also has a nutrition management program that associated with it. And even I think a fitness expert. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. And again, it's part of the app, which is great because they can get locked in with a fitness coach, a nutrition expert. And what they'll even do is say, okay, take your camera. We're looking at each other, flip it around and aim it in your cabinet. Let's go through and see where your sticky points are. And they'll go through and they'll talk to people about, all right, these are heavy in carbs. You don't want to eat this. This is going to break down into sugar and it's going to mess up your system. And they'll work to get people on a healthier diet. They do the same thing with smoking. They have a full smoking cessation program where they help people cut it down. They do the same thing with fitness, your own fitness coach that'll help you get workout, depending on your weight and your age and things like that. They'll give you different exercises based on that. The whole point is that the app and the program itself works together to improve the wellness of the employees.
Right.
Significantly. So your employees aren't calling out sick. And they stay an average of 7 months longer at a particular company. That saves, depending on the size of the company, I mean, that's tens of thousands into hundreds of thousands of dollars in turnover and retraining costs. So, and then when you look at, there's conversations I've had with a lot of these companies, I say it's going to cut down your workman's comp. All right. It does it for a variety of reasons. Typically, it's like 20 to 30% of the workman's comp premium it cuts down. And if they're a larger company that is self-insured, every time somebody goes to an emergency room and gets a prescription or gets anything done, the company gets dinged. The company has to pay for that.
Right.
So if the company can see a 10 to 12% reduction in their self-insured side of costs, again, for some of these companies, that's a massive number.
Absolutely.
So what drew me to EHP is the fact that not only are we really helping the employees and putting additional dollars in their take-home pay, averages somewhere between $1,800 and $2,000 is about the average
For the year.
on an annual basis.
Right,
I mean, that's a significant amount.
Right.
So not only do we do that, but we put so much money back into the employer's pocket. Now, obviously, there's costs for the program, but the way EHP sets it up and runs everything, we make sure the company's in the black before they're always in the black from day one before they ever start to cover the costs of what's being used. So it's pretty amazing.
So Patricia just said you are focusing mostly on the employee and user. Can you talk more about the implementation on the employer's part, their ability to implement and to manage the program, not just the tax savings? Absolutely. Kev, take it away.
Yeah, Patricia, that's a great question.
It is a great question.
And it's funny because they always want to know in the beginning, talk about the money. Give me the money, give me the money, give me the money. What about the benefits? So that's kind of why I approach it this way. And your question was perfect timing because that's the next transition. The beauty part about this is EHP administers the entire program. So HR is not going to be overwhelmed. HR's main responsibility is if somebody gets fired, you remove them from the program. If somebody gets hired, you enter them into the program. That's right. their main things that they need done. So the implementation process is very simple. The other thing that's pretty cool with it is you're going to get, or I should say the company is going to get a full dashboard. This dashboard shows all the services that are being used. Now it shows them anonymously, so they don't know that, Sally has gone to, talk to, somebody about suicide or,
right, exactly.
Or Joey's wife has gone to the emergency. Right. They don't right. talk. It's all anonymous on the dashboard, but the company sees it's being used. They understand this is being used. And it shows what it's helping to offset, especially the larger ones who are self-insured. They're going to see this, and this are offsetting everything. They're going to see how many prescriptions are being used. Now, those prescriptions, again, 1,070 of them are going to go to the employee at no cost. The employer is going to be able to track all that, not what the prescription is and not who it's going to, but they're going to get a record of all of it that's available to them 24/7 in real time. So
there's one other thing that I want to add, which this program differs from some others in that in this program, a person only has to have one interaction with the platform or with the program in a year. And it doesn't matter what that interaction is. So in order to keep their benefits and their tax savings, right? So otherwise they have to give that money back. So it could be simple as, calling in someplace to get financial advice. It could be ordering a prescription for one person in their family. It's nothing that requires a lot of work or interaction in order to maintain the program for the company. Ted says, what hands-on training is given to the employees, not just the AI platform once the employee is signed up? Great question, Ted.
Mm-hmm. That's part of the onboarding process. We have an entire team that works with the employees in the onboarding process. They're actually called, each one of them is actually called individually. and they run, EHP will run Zooms for the employees to learn about it. So and then they're going to ping them on the app itself. They'll email them. They will text people as well. So they will stay in the employee's face, if you will, to make sure that they see it, because the more that they get people to interact, the healthier the employees are going to be. So that the employee is really the focus on the program. The wellness side of it, it's very much really built around the employee themselves.
I think we have a video. If we could get that up, I think this might be a good time for it. I think we have a video, a 1-minute video about the platform and the program. Let's see if we can get it up. I know we had a few tech issues earlier, so we shall see, but we'll go on. And if it comes up, it comes up. That would be super duper. So I'm trying to think of what else we can cover. I kind of wanted to go back to the diabetic thing for just a minute, because people think, because we talked about the cabinet and what people are eating, but people don't realize other areas that really impact diabetes, which can be poor sleep. People have no idea why poor sleep, which affects your insulin resistance, can affect diabetes. Stress, there's smoking also can affect diabetes. So it's not just what people are eating. And also there's a tendency to become a type 2 diabetic, after the age of 45. And, there are also predisposing factors. For instance, my father was a diabetic, and I was diabetic in both of my pregnancies. And so therefore, I have a predisposition to diabetes. And I'm mindful of it, although I'm better sometimes than others, but whatever. What else can we talk about in terms of how, because I've participated in a few of these calls now. Oh, I think it's worthy of mentioning that the only requirement for the company is to have at least 25 W-2 employees that are full-time, 30 hours or more, correct?
That is correct.
Right. And and there's no maximum, because I was talking to a company that's interacting with the, program, and they have 3,000 employees. So it's anywhere in between. There's just that minimum, and there's really no maximum. Of course, if the more employees, it's going to take a little more time to enroll those people, because like you said, each person has to be called individually. They need an explanation. Now, George has a good question also. And I love this question. If I have a problem with the platform as an employee, how do I get assistance? And why I think that's such a great question is because nowadays it's so hard to get help with anything. I have to tell a little story. I have it's just about this kind of thing. I have this credit, card thing. It's an online something or other that can just fill in the gaps for something when you check out on a platform or whatever. And I was trying to use it the other day, and about 2 weeks ago, there was a glitch, and I finally got somebody to call me. They tried to troubleshoot it, and they couldn't help me. And then I tried again, and apparently they were very busy. So they said they would call me back. Well, that was, let's see, last Thursday. Wait, what day is today? Wednesday, last Thursday. And they kept saying somebody will call you soon. And I was saying, listen, I have business to do. Oh, we're so sorry. It's a chat a chat bot, whatever. Okay. Yesterday, somebody called me. And I get a call from that number. It tells you what number they're going to call from, which is great. And the recording says, you can't make this up. You're number 187 in the queue.
Well, so they're getting to you.
and if I waited, maybe Friday somebody would answer me. I don't know.
There you go.
I stayed on the phone. So I think that's a great question about, how does a person get assistance if they have a problem with the platform?
Yeah, and what I'll tell you, George, is that is a very good question. I haven't run into anybody yet who's had an issue with the platform, but there is help. There's a help chat right there, which is right on the app itself. So, I mean, you have access to that right from the app. So it's quick, it's simple. If you're still running into an issue, you can ask HR, which could get somebody into, on a hard line or something like that. But like I said, we've never run into anything that has even come across my desk yet where somebody's had an issue with anything.
Yeah, and I think also because you can access a professional at any time, sometimes within minutes. I mean, there are tech issues everywhere. I mean, we're having a tech issue now with this, with our video. I mean, last week I had a tech issue on the show and we couldn't continue the show. I mean, things do happen. So like with anything, but I haven't heard of anybody having those kind of serious issues with the platform either. But I've been with the company, just a few months. You certainly been with it a lot longer.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what the comments that we keep getting is there's so much in here. This is amazing. This is amazing. It's the app has grown over the years that Revive Health has really been around. And obviously there's the person who's the closest to us of what we do, kind of almost exactly. They don't quite do what we do. They still outsource all the teledoc and all that stuff. Ours is our own network. Revive owns the network,
right?
The entire thing. They don't outsource anything. It's all done internally. So as that has grown, the next closest person is there's a few different companies that are trying to copy what we're doing. They're way less than none of them have even hit 1 million employees. And they have issues with the what do you call it? I lost what I was saying there for a second.
That's okay.
When you're dealing with an outsourced product and you run into a problem, sometimes it's a connection problem, sometimes it's an integration issue. Revive doesn't have that. Revive has built it. They're their own tech. They have everything in one place, and it just kind of grows with you and grows with the employees.
The other thing, now I just lost my oh yes, no,
I'm not the only one.
I know what I wanted to say, that there's also, which I learned about today, a tremendous library of videos, information, articles that a person can access at any time on a variety of different subjects. Actually, to tell you the truth, I've been in touch with somebody there because I'm hoping that I could get some of the short courses that I have about dementia, whatever, that could be helpful to people. But it also has a financial planning aspect to it. So for people who maybe need some budgeting advice, or, they want to have some investment advice, there are also professionals from that aspect that can help people.
Yes, absolutely. And that there's no time limit. There's no restriction. People have access to everything that's available, and they keep growing it. They want them to use the coaches. They want them to use the stop smoking coaches. They want them to use all of those different types of things. It's pretty amazing.
This is a pretty incredible.
Robert knows the stuff.
Robert, I'm really impressed because I had to send some of those to somebody and I had to look them up. So this is really cool. Since there are ever-changing IRS regulations such as sections 105, 125, and 213D, even minor administrative errors or insufficient legal language in plan documents could lead to immediate disqualification of the plan during an audit, resulting in significant penalties. How do you address this issue? Oh my goodness gracious. Robert, I wonder, are you an accountant or a finance person or somebody from that arena?
He's obviously someone that's dealt with this before. Robert, great question, right on track. One of the things that we do is when we're talking to a company, immediately, like for example, I don't go through all the information with the company. What I do is I get them set up and I put them into what we term a discovery call. And it's a 20 to 30 minute soup to nuts. And it starts out with all this information that you're asking for. That's actually how we begin the discovery call, because we want everybody on the same page right out of the gate. Everything is laid out exactly. We are what's called a SIMERP. I won't get too technical on you, but it's SIMERP.
ERP.
Yep. All right. It's called a SIMERP. That's where we are. That's what we are not a fixed indemnity program. There's a huge difference. I know I'm getting a little technical for people. The SIMERP is very, it's very built into the code.
So say what that is. It's a self-insured medical expense reimbursement program.
Got
correct?
it. Yes,
okay.
You nailed it. And so the other thing, Robert, is we encourage the companies to not just, in other words, I don't want just an HR person on there. What we're looking for CFO, owner, COO, a controller, somebody who is really responsible and looking out for the financial well-being of the company, and obviously the well-being of the employees as well. So we address all of it. And by doing that 20 to 30 minute, we'll go through the whole slide deck. At the end of that slide deck, we send that directly. We send that to you. We send that to the business owner, so they get a full copy of it. They have all the regulations there. They have the stuff from the CPA journal. They have the stuff from the IRS. They have everything laid out. So any questions, though, your question right there, it's funny because it rarely ever comes up, because that's how we started. That's actually how we start the call. So
he said that he was a benefit consultant, which obviously made a lot of sense. But I know we have the video, but before we go to it, I just want to mention some of my experience. And, since I've been doing this a few weeks, when you talk about HR, because some of my experiences with HR are that, like you say, you said they don't have much to do, but in their minds, it's like, what am I going to have to do? This is more on my plate. Right. It's kind of like a job position. Not that every other position isn't a job, but, it's more, in the chain of command, as opposed to a decision maker, somebody further up who could see the bigger picture, ask more, I think, questions.
I think a lot of them think it's going to be similar to the full implementation and administration of another major medical program. And it's not, because the vast majority of the administration is being done by EHP.
So I love Robert. This is terrific. What's the cost per employee?
I hope Robert also takes down your email to email you.
Robert, I hope you take a screenshot of that graphic with my email at the bottom and enlarge it and email me, and I'll get you information.
So Robert, I'll give you the quick breakdown. You typically, you're going to see somewhere in the neighborhood of approximately $300+ in tax savings, and the cost to the employee, which comes right out of the tax savings, is $149. Typically leaves them about $150 to $160 in additional take-home pay. So they end up getting the whole thing done pre-tax. They're getting the full benefits, and they end up with additional take-home pay.
Awesome. So I think we have the video, and if we do, we can show it now. It looks like there
we go.
Like we got some magic done here.
We are proud to introduce a groundbreaking opportunity designed to deliver tremendous value to businesses and their employees. Welcome to our preventative care program. Today, fewer than 2% of businesses are even aware that a solution like this exists. Here's how it works. First, our preventative care program helps businesses save approximately $53 per employee per month, or about $639 annually, by reducing their tax responsibility. These savings take effect immediately in the first month of enrollment, putting money directly back into the business owner's hands. But that's only the beginning. The program provides comprehensive healthcare and wellness benefits, including virtual care clinics, urgent care, primary care, mental health support, weight management, and access to over 1,000 free prescription medications, all at zero net cost to both employees and employers. There's no impact on employees' paychecks and no upfront costs for employers. In addition to tax savings and employee benefits, businesses typically experience a 30 to 40% reduction in annual workmen's compensation premiums, along with significantly improved employee retention. On average, employees stay with their employer 7 months longer when these benefits are available, saving employers even more in turnover and rehiring costs. Preventative Care Program is a true game changer, delivering real value to businesses.
Well, thank you to the wizard behind the curtain who was able to get that working. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. That was terrific. It's a 1 minute. She talks pretty fast, but it really says everything that you said. It really is. And some of the things it doesn't say that we covered, this vast library of articles and videos that people can access. They don't have to put it in a search engine. It's right there, right in front of their nose. And it's pretty comprehensive from what I saw. People can access, when we talked about mental health, and I'm thinking of that from the perspective that I come from, people who are caregivers. So it's not just people who are just, feeling their own depression or anxious because of their position. But, I always inform employers that 70% of the sandwich generation, those caring for an older parent or loved one, as well as having job and family responsibilities, is now between the ages of 40 and 59. Those are prime work years. And I wrote a chapter in a book many years ago, that's not about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, called Going from SOS, being stressed, overwhelmed, and stressed, to strategies of success. And, what gets you from one place to another. And, of course, there are many, as, it's resilience and what are the tools in that your resilience toolbox and all of that kind of thing. But, people who are stressed, overwhelmed, and stretched are for many different reasons. And there are information about all of the areas where people experience that in this program. So you don't have to go to one place or another place, or it's right there in front of your nose, as you say.
And you know what, having stuff at your fingertips, I know I'm bad too. I get to the point, it's like, I don't feel like going. I'll just limp around for a while. I'll be good.
I've been doing that for quite some time, Kevin. How did you know?
And I did that because I had something was screwed up with my heel, and I limped around on it because I knew it wasn't serious. I knew it was that stupid thing that some plantar fasciitis, something or other. I knew what it was, and it was just irritating me, and it was bothering me. But I put it off for months before I finally was like, all right, I can't deal with this anymore. And I finally went, and they gave me this stupid little thing, and it didn't work. And so I was getting more and more irritated. And finally, one of my buddies goes, oh, hey, you know what? I went to the chiropractor. And when I had that, and it was my hips were out of whack, and I said, you know what? Let me try that. And so between getting the heel insert at first, a little more padding, and going and getting, my hips were off a little over an inch. So getting myself realigned and all set, it was gone in less than 2 weeks. I didn't have any residual effect to it at all. It was just totally gone. And I was like, yeah. And I put up with that for months.
Well, I'm in a similar situation, to be honest. So here's a question for you, because, there are certain aspects where you are going to have to go see somebody like a chiropractor. I mean, not just a regular doctor, but, obviously a chiropractor can treat you virtually.
No. Here.
It might be good, but they're not.
That's going to go on. That's going to be part of the major medical. But what's nice is you can do the supplemental side of it to, you can call in and you can talk to them about, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I feel when I bend this, when I do that. And they'll probably sit there and go, hey, you're probably looking at, plantar fasciitis. You may want to try this or try this or try this. Right. But you're still going to have to go eventually to, like, if you've got to go to a chiropractor, you need to get your butt to a chiropractor.
Right. But, you said something I think that's very important, because if you had access to that, rather than limping around for months, you might be more likely to get on a call with somebody, because you don't have to go anyplace, and just say, hey, listen, this is what's happening. And so therefore the person might say, hey, listen, this is what I think it is. You really should do that, make that appointment.
Right.
Or, it's really nothing. Why don't you try X, Y, Z? But you're not just relying on your own. Oh, I think I'll limp around for a while. I can't be bothered.
Your own stupidity.
Oh, I was going to say that.
Yeah. No. And again, playing sports my whole life, you learn to deal with certain things, but eventually you're like, you know what? I really need to kind of get this addressed because it's not going away.
It's funny you say that, because I've worked at, 50,000 hours in long-term care and skilled nursing. And I'm guilty of it. I don't really go to doctors. I don't want to hear what anybody really has to say.
Right.
I have this thing with my hip. I'm not doing any hip replacements. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to skilled nursing for rehab, so I'm limping around. I mean, that's, it is what it is. And I think doctors are guilty of that. I mean, that's, it's like the cobbler who doesn't have any shoes, or my daughter's husband he owns his own mechanic shop, and
her car doesn't run.
Yeah, kind of thing. She has a Range Rover, and the engine needs work, I think, for the last 6 months, and it's in the shop because. Right. But we all have that, right? We all have that. But I think that the benefits it has. So let me ask you this question.
Our own personal blind spots.
Absolutely. And so when you call companies, what are some of the questions or objections that you get? Because I'm thinking, if there are any listeners or viewers that take this back to their company, what might they hear from someone at their company as to why or why they would not be interested in at least finding out about it?
So what I tell people, I said, listen, the first question I typically ask them is, are you open to something you may not have heard about before? Because somebody has always heard something from a cousin whose brother knew somebody who worked somewhere, and they come up with these stories. And it's happened when we don't get, especially when we don't get all the people on the discovery call. So I usually like to have at least one or two of the executives, especially CFO or something. And I do encourage to have them, have somebody from HR hop on. With the big, huge companies, sometimes we'll get the accountants that join us as well, and legal. Sometimes they'll have the legal, legal tax guys or whomever. And we want them on. We want all them on, because what'll happen is somebody will get us confused or think we're the same as like a fixed indemnity program out there, or there's a couple different things that are in the same realm as us, but they're not a CIMERP. They're not exactly what we do. And because of that, sometimes, I mean, one guy called up and he's like, I don't know if we're going to go with it. I talked to my brother-in-law, and here I am. I'm like, oh God, here we go. And, he said that basically the CIMERP is the same thing as a fixed indemnity and blah, blah. And I said, all right, let me ask you a question. I said, does your brother-in-law work for the company? He said, well, he kind of consults. I said, okay. For you guys, this is a serious, this is serious, because you're looking at, you have 400 and something employees. This is going to be big for you. I mean, that's $250,000 to you as the company itself. On the tax savings, I said to your employees, I said they're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000 to $800,000. Additionally, and take-home pay, I said now you're looking at a significant reduction in workman's comp, and I could tell his wheels were going.
Right.
So I went to the numbers and I said, let me ask you this. Do you typically allow your brother-in-law to make a decision that's going to affect you to the tune of about $1.2, $1.3 million annually in your business? How many mistakes is he allowed to make as a consultant of that kind of magnitude? And he goes, he's not allowed to make any. I said, we need to have another discovery call, and he needs to be on the discovery call.
Right. Because
this way he can ask the proper questions, he'll get his proper answer, and he'll understand it from inside. He can go through, he can dig down into as much of the minutia as he wants or as little as he wants. The whole point is that discovery call is the opening of it. That's the start. From there, it's a simple process. We do a census, and we can either do the census directly with somebody's payroll company. We can do it if they're in-house payroll. Our goal is not to burden their HR department or their payroll people.
Right.
Tell us who you work with. We'll work directly. All you have to do is get on the phone with us, get on the phone with them, tell them we have permission, and they'll get us the census. From there, we do a proposal call. That proposal call gives them to the penny what they're looking at dollar-wise coming back on the tax savings, and what the employees are looking at on the tax savings and on all that. So it's really, it's just a process. And obviously on the proposal call, that's when the decision's really made.
Right.
The discovery call, we're opening up everybody's eyes to what we do. The census, we're gathering the data so we can do a proper proposal for them. And the proposal calls normally go they're closing in excess of 90% of them right now, because they're simple and straightforward. We don't hide any details. We lay it all out there, because by doing so, nobody's looking for the loophole. There's no loophole. Here it is. It's all here. And it's really going phenomenally, and we're growing extremely well. We have that 6-year exclusivity with Revive to build this, and we are just rocking and rolling with them, building it as fast as we can. So it's pretty cool.
I think that especially nowadays, when, like I said at the outset, when premiums can be, increasing excessively, people's access to care will probably be more problematic. And, I'm thinking that, with whatever the tax saving is, this one company that I spoke to with a tax savings of almost $2 million a year, they could do whatever they want with that money. They can invest it in growth for the company. They may decide to give some people some bonuses or raises, but the employee is already kind of getting a raise by getting, some boost to their paycheck. So in a way, they're doing something for the employee's paycheck without actually having to take it out of their own pocket, which is even more of a win-win, right?
Correct. And
that's how I see it.
Yeah, and you mentioned you mentioned it that the cost going up. We're actually going to be rolling something out early next year as well. So it's going to, there's a sister company also owned by the same owner that we have that's rolling something in. It's going to be pretty exciting. And again, what's it going to do? Save companies money. That's
right. So
point.
Jane is saying the IRS requires proof that pre-tax wellness reimbursements are tied to legitimate wellness activities. A common mistake is relying on employee self-reporting without time-stamped proof, which is vulnerable to IRS scrutiny during an audit. How do you address that? Jane, that is a great question. And that was kind of the question that came on the call that I had today in a roundabout way. Great question.
So part of that, Jane, is one of the reasons the app is in place, because the app actually is obviously time-stamped with everything that gets done all the way through. There's multiple reminders. Everything is done directly through that. Also, you'll notice if you hop on a discovery call with us, we can show you how the pre-tax is done, the taxes, and how that full amount is added back in. When you're doing stuff with the tax fixed indemnities and things like that, sometimes they'll do a pre-tax on 12 or 1300 and only put 1,000 back in. We don't do that. It's 1220 pre-tax, 1220 goes back in. It's a full reimbursement. So when we show you all of the regulations, everything that lays it out, it's exactly what they're looking for is exactly what a SIMRP is and exactly how we do it. So your question is spot on. Obviously, you've dealt with it before, or you've run into it, or you know people who have. And it's the fixed indemnities that sometimes at the end of the year have employees getting whacked especially for pre-tax stuff that they ended up not using the benefits properly or doing it, and they get a tax consequence at the end of the year.
Right, but the fixed indemnity. Correct me if I'm wrong. With those programs, the employee has to interact with the program more frequently. Is my understanding correct? Whereas with the EHP Revive Health program, the SIMRP, it's one activity per year. Is that correct for anybody on the plan from their household? Is that correct?
That is correct. Again, it has to do with how the money is taken out pre-tax and how it's added back into the check. So that's part of the regulation. But please feel free to join us on a discovery call, and you can ask that direct. You can see all the regulations. We share all of it with you. It really, a lot of thought, a lot of planning, and a lot of effort has gone into making this as bulletproof as you possibly can make it. The other thing, just so you know, they make everything, they call it audit proof, in that they will supply any, they'll cover the companies if they ever do get audited. They'll give them all the information. They'll go there with them and do all that stuff. And also the employees as well. Mm-hmm. Just up to date so far in the years we've been doing this, and the years that Revive Health has been doing it, it has not been needed yet. So, but it's there, it's available. It's there for the companies and for the employees to be able to use should they need. But again, no one's needed it to date.
Well, that's terrific. Listen, Kevin, this has been fantastic. And I want to remind everybody that if you look in the upper right-hand portion of your screen and take a screenshot of that graphic, it has, and you enlarge it, it has my email address at the bottom. You can email me and I can, we can arrange a call, and then I can, find out more about your company and see if the company would like to get on a discovery call. And then we could go from there. So it could benefit not only you, your company, but also the employees that work for the company. So, Kevin, I can't thank you enough. This has been fantastic.
A lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
We'll see. Hopefully I'll see you soon. So now I'd like to turn to next week when I will have two special guests from the Leading Age Conference in Boston, Massachusetts, Susan Zeff-Geber and Jay Zamont. Sarah Zeff-Geber and Jay Zamont. Sarah holds a PhD and is an author and keynote speaker. Over the past 10 years, she's developed a niche specialty talking about the challenges of solo agers, people who have no children or who are aging alone with no support from nearby family. She believes solo agers have unique needs in later life that warrant greater foresight and a more robust approach to planning. She's a sought-after speaker at conferences on retirement and aging. She's active in the Retirement Coaches Association, the American Society on Aging, the Sonoma County Section on Aging, and the Life Planning Network. And I believe she also has been a contributor to Forbes.com for the past several years. Dr. Jay Zamont, who also holds a PhD and MBA and is a certified financial planner, among his other accomplishments, he's a TEDx speaker, cultural economist, and the leading expert on the child-free economy, the multi-trillion-dollar economic and social shift driven by the 25% of Americans without children. He's the founder of Child-Free Wealth and Child-Free Trust. So remember to tune in, comment, and ask questions on Wednesday, November 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Source TV Radio Network, when I'll be live from the Leading Age Conference in Boston, Massachusetts. And until then, take care, stay well, and stay tuned.
Go for it, go for it. I'm just saying I'm not finished yet. Search for it, swing for it. Discover the me that lives in yes. Stand for it, stretch for it. It's my time, imagine my best. Run for it, reach for it. Uncover the me that lives in yes. I know, yes I know, there'll be miracles wherever I go. It's not work, it's play. I can make magic today.